Hello, Susie here. How is everyone? I am here today to share with you a lesson on sound. Today we're going to be learning about sound. We're going to be learning about what sound waves are. We're going to learn about how we hear sound. And we're also going to be learning about acoustics. Acoustics is the way a shape of a room affects the way sound travels. And acoustics also has to do with the way the shape of a certain object helps sound travel. For instance, when you're talking through a paper roll. Have you ever put your face up against a fan and tried to just say, ah? What does that sound like? It sounds like vibrations, right? Well, that's because that's what makes sound. What makes sound is the way that air molecules collide with each other. And the way that we can hear it is because inside of our ears, we have a tiny little drum that vibrates when we hear sound. And inside of our ears, there's also tiny hair follicles. All of those things affect the way we hear sound. Today, I'm also going to take you on a tour of an opera house in Sydney, Australia. So we're going to get to have a little bit of a vacation, and we're going to travel way down under so that we could hear what that opera house sounds like. And then I'm going to play for you one of my favorite opera songs, so that you can hear the way someone's voice can project and create something beautiful, like music. So come join me. So before we get into our experiment, we're going to talk about what is the difference between music, for instance, and noise. Music and noise are both just sounds. The main difference is that music has an established pattern to it. So there are pleasant highs and lows, and it's really sound just strung together to sound pleasing or pleasant to the person hearing it. The difference between a pleasant sound and an unpleasant sound mostly just depends on who's hearing it. For instance, older people might think that the music you like is noisy and they might not appreciate it. That's because maybe their hearing is different because they're older. So that drum inside of their ear might have a different shape, it might be looser, and there are a lot of reasons that somebody that's older might find something you enjoy just noisy. Somebody might walk into a room full of people laughing and having a good time and think that it's too noisy. Again, that just depends on the person. I don't like a whole lot of noises, but I love the sound of music. So let's investigate what sound looks like. So I'm in a different part of my house. You might notice that this room sounds different than the room I normally film my videos in. And the reason is because the acoustics in this room are different. I have, for one thing, a lot more furniture in this part of my house. In the room where I normally film, I haven't got very much at all. It's pretty much an empty room. And that dictates the way the sound waves bounce off the walls and what that sounds like to you and to me. So today I have my guest helper here, my son Harris. Say hi, Harris. Hello. And Harris is going to be helping us with a little experiment so that we can demonstrate what sound looks like. What do the sound waves do to the environment around, to the air, to those air molecules? So we've got here a bowl. It's just a simple household bowl. Harris, can you say hello into the bowl?
Hello.
Hello. As you can see, the sound is different
Yep.
on the bowl than when I'm normally speaking. Why do you think that is, Harris?
That's because the sound waves bounce around the bowl, muffling the sound coming out of my mother's mouth.
Very good. That's true. He's absolutely right. So what we're going to use for our experiment today is just a simple household bowl that you might use to mix a snack in. Maybe a bowl you use to mix the snacks that Barbara's been making, which all look so yummy.
Or maybe you'd put ice cream in there to have a nice dessert.
Maybe. It is spring, so it's time for ice cream.
Yeah.
We're also going to use some cling film.
Or
cling wrap, and we're going to use some kosher salt. So the very first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of this cling film, enough so that it goes around the whole bowl tightly. So Harris, can you help me put this on the bowl?
But of course, Mother.
Okay, and we want to get that nice and tight.
Tight, so the surface is nice and around there.
Yeah. So as you can see, I am
Pulling
tightly that cling film. Kind of tricky because it doesn't always work very well, but we're gonna do our best.
Cling film wants to stick to itself, so try and get a good long piece and wrap it around so it touches itself.
Like that. Very good. So now Harris is going to take some of those crystals and put them in his hand. And then we're going to put them, see it's tight like a drum? Can you hear that?
That's because the sound waves are bouncing all around the whole thing.
Very good.
So I'm going to put a bit of salt in my hand, not much, just a little bit. Just about this much.
Very good. And we're going to put that on top of our bowl. Okay.
And we're going to spread it out nice and evenly.
Can you see that? Very good. So we're going to spread that out a little bit. And now Harris and I are going to make some sounds and see what happens to the salt.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Harris.
Susie.
Harris. I don't know if you guys can see, but the little salt grains on the outside are bouncing up and down. Let me see if I spread this out.
And those salt grains bouncing up and down, that's called vibration. And that is caused by the sound waves bouncing.
Very good, he's right. All right, let's try this again. Wow.
Wow.
If you can listen carefully, you can hear the salt bouncing on our surface here.
You could also hear our voices slightly rippling.
That's right, because it's interfering with all of the little salt flakes. So let's try one more time. Wah, wah. Did you hear that? And if you look very carefully, you could see the little salt granules dancing all around the surface of our bowl. So the reason they do that is because, as Harris said, the vibration from the sound that we're creating is making the granules dance on the top of this bowl. I'm going to include in the packet this experiment, and maybe if you like, you can try it at home.
It doesn't need a lot. All you need is salt, a bowl, and some saran wrap or cling film.
Very good. All right, guys. So on to our next adventure. Okay, so for this next part of our lesson, Harris is going to go do his schoolwork. So say bye, Harris.
Bye, Harris.
as I said, the difference between what is a pleasant sound and noise has a lot to do with how we interpret that sound. So I have an assignment for you. I'd like you to take a small notebook or a piece of paper when you go out on your daily walk today. And I would like you to walk around and make a note of the sounds that you hear that are pleasant sounds. Right now outside it's spring, so there are tons of pleasant sounds to enjoy, like the sounds of birds or the sound of a special tree that maybe you like very much. So please make a note of that, and on our next Zoom meeting, we can discuss what sounds you hear every day that you really, really enjoy. I'm curious. It's a good way to learn more about each other. So as I was teaching you about acoustics, acoustics is the way the shape of something makes that thing sound. How does it project the sound? So when you have something maybe that is round, when the sound waves bounce off, they're going to go back out, and it's going to make the sound louder. It's going to what's called amplify the sound. And that's sort of what a microphone does when we're singing our karaoke in music class, right? We are amplifying the sound. We're making it louder. So there are places like opera houses that are built specifically so that the sound goes out into the audience. And the reason that those places are built like that is because that way there isn't so much interference from maybe a microphone or the audience, the way the audience is clapping, so that doesn't interfere with the performance going on. So we did our experiment with the round bowl earlier, just joking, to see what it sounds like, right? It kind of sounds like I'm muffled, right? But if I hold it further away, then my voice sounds louder. If I hold it close, my voice is muffled. If I hold it further away, my voice sounds louder. And that's because the sound waves are having more space to hit the bowl and bounce back out at me. If I do it into this glass, I am much more muffled. You can barely understand what I'm saying. That's because the glass is long and it has an irregular shape at the bottom. And then if I use this square, it sounds different again because it is a square. So the sound waves are bouncing off every corner. There is a beautiful opera house in Australia, and it is famous the world over. And part of the reason it is famous is because when it was designed to be acoustic, because there were going to be a lot of concerts there, and they hold operas there. And for opera, the singers usually are not standing in front of a microphone. An opera is very much like a play. So in order for the opera singer's voice to carry, the place has to have really good acoustics so that when they sing, their voice carries out over the audience. Well, making that opera house acoustic in a unique way meant that it was going to look different. So the architects decided to not hide the acoustics of the place, but to sort of highlight it in the way that they built the building. And this is a photo of that opera house, of the Sydney Opera House. So right now, we're going to go on a tour of the Sydney Opera House. I hope you enjoy your little vacation to Australia. Good day, mates. Well, that was quite a lesson. We got to do an experiment. We even got to take a tour of the Opera House in Sydney, Australia. So, your assignment, as I stated before, is I would like you to make a note of the sounds that you hear. What is your favorite sound? What is your favorite sound about spring? I'm really curious to know. So remember, when we get together for our next Zoom meeting, we are going to share with each other what our favorite sound is. I'm also including a worksheet for you to fill out, and the worksheet is called What is Sound? So if you do your worksheet, you are free to share that with me when we do our Zoom. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed your lesson, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.